movies, video games, craft beer. Sandwich Revolver podcast. The only podcast about movies, video games, and craft beer. Hello, everyone. I'm Carl Diamond.
I'm John Reeve.
And with us today is our cameraman, Andy Na.
Hey, guys. What's up?
Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us on the first episode of Sandwich Revolver podcast. This is a new kind of deal we're doing. You know, the whole podcast thing. We want to get more content out to you people and whoever is listening. And this is a longer media format for us to do so. We're still going to be talking about movies, video games, and craft beer. But, you know, we have more time to do it now. So,
God, this is going to be so great for people to listen to in their cars.
Oh, yes. They're gonna put it on and they're going to go, music to drive to. Or get in a car accident into, am I right?
This game I sucked.
It makes me so mad.
All right, so we're no experts, none of us. We're just three regular guys who love movies, video games, and craft beer. Talking, don't take us seriously, or do. So let's get right into it. This episode is going to focus on Devil May Cry as a series and Devil May Cry 5.
Woo!
Woo! Right? You guys get excited about it, right? Let's see you get excited.
Motivated.
Get excited.
Oh my fucking
God!
I can't wait.
Guys.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to do it all fancy and whatnot. We're going to start out what Devil May Cry is to us, our personal histories with it, what we've seen from the demo and the trailers, what we want from Devil May Cry 5, and, the history of it, the history of Devil May Cry as a series. We're going to get into that. The state of Capcom itself, what we want to see from Capcom in the future, and then, maybe some more surprises along the way. So, let's start out with the beers, Sandwich Revolver, still doing beers, even as a podcast. You know what? I'm not gonna go first. I'm gonna have guests first. No, even though he's not a guest, he's gonna be a staple here on the show. Let's have Andy go first.
Okay.
And cameraman Andy, the beer.
Yeah. So even though you can't see this beer, you can taste it with your mind. It is a red IPA from Ninkasi Brewing Company, located in Eugene, Oregon. My brother went to school in Oregon, but it was Oregon State University in Corvallis. The University of Oregon is located in Eugene, and their mascot is the Ducks. And this beer is a red IPA called Dawn of the Red. It's got zombies.
Dawn of the Red.
Like Dawn of the
coming
Dead.
Out of the marshes. And there is a big metal hand gesture with hops shooting out in a circle. And of course, in Devil May Cry, you fight undead beings and supernatural creatures, and you wear red. So it's Dawn of the Red Demon Hunter. So let me go ahead and pop open this beer.
Oh, I hear it. I can hear it. I can picture you popping it open with my mind, Andy.
Yeah, you can hear the bottle cap just collapsing out of this glass with bubbles flowing out.
Are we making a beer porn channel here?
I certainly hope so. Andy, go ahead and take a drink of that and tell me what you think.
It's very smooth.
Ooh.
It still has that thick IPA fruity taste, but it's not too strong. It's not too sour. It's just right. It's very balanced, kind of like the difficulty of Devil May Cry 5, the demo at least.
Andy, I want you to make a Dr. Seuss book, but featuring you talking about beer and how great it is.
I would have to rhyme. I can't do that yet.
Well, we'll get there.
It's
okay.
Like you just take a sip, and it's just magic.
All right.
I'm going to go next.
John, your beer and why you should pair it with Devil May Cry.
Okay. So some of you may know this beer, some of you might not, but that's fine. I picked out the Arrogant Bastard Ale. Yes, indeed. Brewed and canned by Arrogant Consortia, or Consortia, however you say it, in Escondido, California, and Richmond.
Stone Brewery, man.
Yeah,
Right?
right?
Cool. Just
Now.
like what we do the last episode we did Stone. Did we? No,
No, not Stone. We did not Absolution.
Absolution Brewing. That was it.
Oh,
That was
okay.
Absolution Brewing. Stone's not an upcoming episode. Ooh, spoilers.
So, Arrogant Bastard. That's Dante in a nutshell, and Devil May Cry. He's a pretty fucking arrogant bastard. And he's also...
No, that's Dante. Fuck you.
He's also 99% likely to be a bastard, like, literally. So that's fine. No judgment. He just probably is. But even though you can't see it, on the front of the can, there's this big, arrogant-looking devil on the front holding a big beer. Devil May Cry, devil, demons, yada, yada, yada. Makes sense.
Oh, perfect. That's a good choice.
I've already opened my beer, so I'm going to instead pretend like I'm opening it and go... Oh, listen to that sound of the beer opening as I pour it into my large glass stein, as all beers should be drunk going forward.
According to John's dad, we weren't pouring the beers out, and that's just a no-no. Andy, did you say which brewing company made your beer?
Yes, it is Ninkasi. Oh, Ninkasi.
Ninkasi, excellent. So, John, how's your beer taste? Have you tasted it yet?
I'm going to take a quick sip right now.
Take a sip.
Ah, yes. It's definitely even if you'd never heard of the company, you'd take a sip and think, yeah, that's definitely an arrogant bastard. It has a very arrogant bastard taste to it. It's a little bitter. It's a little dark, but boy, does it feel really good. It's almost like it warms your stomach.
Like all beers.
Very nice.
Very nice.
I am a fan of Arrogant Bastard. I've had it before, and it is lovely.
Oh,
it is
good.
Nice.
Great.
It's a good one.
Carl, that was our college party, 2011.
Oh, we did. We got that. Oh, hey, there goes John. We did get Arrogant Bastard then, didn't we?
Yeah, I think it was during your birthday.
Possibly.
Oh man, is that where I met Andy? Because I was there.
That was 2010.
Was that the one time that I gave John five shots in a row, and then he danced around like a wacky inflatable? He danced around like a wacky inflatable arm tube man.
There was a rock band, and there was
rock
a lot
band,
of
yeah.
singing.
I did the best cover of Down with the Sickness anyone's ever heard, and I woke up in a beanbag chair.
Anyway, let's get on to my beer. How about that? Before we dabble in the horrible mess of the past. Let's go ahead and get into my beer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Before it gets in your beard.
Oh God. So I have here AleSmith and Stone Brewing, AleSmith and Stone Brewing Companies, collaboration, Gregarious Nature IPA. Ooh, a San Diego style India Pale Ale. Yeah, and it is 7% alcohol by volume, hoppy, tropical, and collaborative. Yeah, let's go ahead and open it up. Ooh,
see, that was a real one.
You guys hear that?
Yeah.
I put that right up to the microphone. Oh, immediately you can smell the IPA-ness of it, the hops and oh, it smells so good. Oh, so fruity. Let's take a sip.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that is tasty. That is good. I do like that. Let me taste another sip. Let me figure out.
You're tasting ASMR.
Like a squirrel.
Ooh, I'm gonna bury this beer in the backyard and come get it during winter. Ooh, that's very fruity. You can definitely get the bitterness of the hops in that, but it's not overpowering like a lot of the Stone IPAs are. They kind of hit you like a brick wall.
Man, I'm a bit surprised that of all people, I'm the one who did not get an IPA between the three of us. IPAs are my favorite.
You got an ale. I mean, Arrogant Bastard's a good ale.
Oh no, it is a good ale.
So this one, I picked Gregarious Nature because not only is there a devil sitting on an anvil drinking a beer on it, which Devil May Cry alone, But gregarious nature is very Dante. A lot,
Yeah, he waves
a
his
lot of waving
arms
things around and talking shit.
Very animated.
So we've gotten the beers, and
Hey.
those are the beers, guys. Go check them out. And you know what? You're listening to us. Crack open your own beer. Come on, unless you're driving. Don't drink and drive. But you know,
Drink
as I said,
responsibly.
exactly drink responsibly. We're three dudes sitting around talking about video games and movies and
craft beer.
and craft beer. So crack open a beer and join us, won't you? Please. That's why we're doing this. Good times. Let's get this party started, gentlemen.
This part is getting crazy. Let's
Yeah.
Waka waka.
All right. Which game was that from, Andy? That was from
DMC.
DMC3.
Yes.
Andy's on point with his DMC references.
Andy knows fucking every DMC reference there is. It's amazing. So let's go ahead and get into our own personal histories of Devil May Cry. What Devil May Cry means to us when we started playing it, when we found out about it, where we were, what we were wearing, what was in our heads, what's going on with Devil May Cry in our personal histories. Andy, guests start first.
Oh boy, I'm going first. Okay.
Well, I must correct. You're not a guest. You're a staple, but you're new to Sandwich Revolver, so you will go first.
Okay. That's the golden rule. Whoever's new goes first. Alrighty.
Yeah.
So
And don't talk about Sandwich Revolver. Just kidding. Talk about it all the time.
This isn't Fight Club.
Yes. Okay. Alrighty. Go ahead.
all right. So how did I get into this series? So it was 2005. I was in high school, and I was shopping around a GameStop looking for Guilty Gear Isuka on PS2. For Guilty Gear fans, I know Isuka. Please forgive me. I was only a kid. So- yeah, we'll talk about why Guilty Gear Isuka gets the shit that it does. It's still a fun game, but it doesn't hold a candle to Guilty Gear X2. Controversial statement, I'm sure, to someone who likes this game. I go to the counter looking for the game, and then Devil May Cry 3 was behind the kiosk. I didn't know the game was out yet, and I wasn't old enough to buy the game, so I was like, "Oh fuck, I'm not 17 yet, so I can't get this game." And the lady behind the counter, she decided to open up the kiosk, pick out the game, a fresh new copy of DMC3: Dante's Awakening. It was still under factory seal. She decides to sell the game to me. And spoilers, she did not get fired. I did see her many more times than whenever I went to the store. That was my first DMC game. I played through it, got my ass kicked a lot, but I endured it. And did you know that the normal difficulty in DMC3 is actually hard mode?
So is this special edition or regular?
Regular edition.
Regular. Okay. Really? Even in regular, it was hard mode.
Yeah. Somehow the PS2 Devil May Cry games, besides 2, they always had these crazy difficulty spikes where you would either take more damage or the enemies would be more aggressive. I don't know. Maybe it's just something about Japanese developers wanting to give us harder games.
So did you play 4?
I have. I haven't beaten 4. In fact, I actually purchased 4 just a few years ago because I didn't have access to an Xbox 360 or a PS3 for the longest time.
Did you play 1 or 2?
Yes. Shortly after I beat DMC3, I had a classmate. I think it was a science class. He also liked the series, so he decided to lend me his copy of Devil May Cry 1. I forget which game I traded.
Game trading, man, that takes me back. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, we swap games with friends. No one does that anymore. They just do account swapping and whatnot. And I think there's something lame about that. But maybe I'm an old fogey.
Well, that's the beauty of owning physical copies. You actually own your product. Your games still had memory card saves, so that you don't have to do any like DLC shenanigans. You could just play the game, save your files in a little memory card, and that was it. So that's how I got introduced to DMC1. It was a very different game. I did not know the Resident Evil context to appreciate the game as much. I still enjoyed it, and I would eventually buy my own copy months after I returned my friend's copy. So it left a very good impression on me.
DMC2. Any words?
So I did get a chance to play it eventually. I got it at a Blockbuster for like really cheap. So I booted the game, played it. It wasn't terrible, but I did notice a drop in quality. The levels go on forever. The game looked really ugly. I liked the setting, but I didn't think they put in as much work in the environments, or just, the level design in general. Dante looked really, really cool. He has one of my favorite designs where he's got like this really tight looking jacket with sort of dark colors on the torso area. And his hairstyle looked really cool too. And I actually liked Dante's stoic nature. Even though he doesn't say much, he just seemed like a really like cool, no nonsense kind of character. Very different from what we got in DMC3, and his animations are great. Some of the attack animations you see would carry over later from DMC3 and even DMC5, like with the shotgun animations.
That's awesome, Andy. Thank you for your history, your personal experience with Devil May Cry. Thank you for sharing.
And the demo is really fun. So
we're gonna get into the demo. Don't talk about the demo yet. All right, John, brother and friend who does this podcast and YouTube show with me. Let me hear about your experience with Devil May Cry.
It all started, I think it was actually 2010, oddly enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I will start with, I am definitely a very, very late Devil May Cry fan and bloomer. I was really, really excited for God of War 3.
God of War 3, really?
Yeah.
You never really had the PS3.
I literally bought the PS3 for God of War 3.
You would have had to have waited years to get God of War 3.
I did, because I had my 360, so I was fine. Anyway, so I was super excited for God of War 3, solely on the premise of it and the trailer, because I'd barely even heard of it, but I'm like, holy shit, the God of War has summoned the Titans to battle the gods of Olympus. At the time, that sounded like the most like epic scale badass story I just ever heard of, and from what I'd seen in the trailers, like, it was just enough to get me to want to get a PS3. But, of course, I had to wait. I also ended up buying a PS2 just so I could play God of War 1 and 2.
Really?
Yeah, I know. This is about DMC. This is leading to DMC.
Yes, I love how this is like a prequel series to your statement on DMC.
This is the DMC3 of our conversation before our conversation about DMC.
So there were two games, however, that came out or were out before God of War 3 that I played to satisfy my need to play a game like God of War. One of them was Darksiders that came out, and the other one was Devil May Cry 4.
Devil May Cry 4 Vanilla.
Yes, fucking vanilla. It was the first.
It's a good ice cream flavor, but is it a good game? Tell us.
So yeah, this was my very first DMC game. By the title of 4, I understood, okay, this is a part of a series, but at the time, it was part of a series I was unfamiliar with. But I heard like, oh, hey, this is a game that a lot of people recommended if I was excited for God of War.
When you say people recommended it, are you talking about like magazines at the time? Like to say, hey, while you're waiting for God of War, play Devil May Cry 4? Or was it like your friend telling you, hey, play this game?
It was my friend saying, play this game. I'll do a shout out.
Word of mouth. Word of mouth
Johnny.
is the best.
Johnny Edelson will be on the show eventually.
All right, so I got Devil May Cry 4. I fucking loved it. I couldn't believe how much I was liking this game that I had barely heard of, and it was the 4th game in the series. But I went through and was like, oh my god, this is everything I've wanted. There's this badass music playing, and this guy with this like sort of wind-up chain, not a chain sword, but it's like you rev it like it's a chainsaw or a motorcycle. And there's fucking angels and demons, and I was like, oh my god, this is so like 90s. And it actually distracted me from even thinking of God of War 3 coming out. I just thought this game was great, which it eventually led me to playing Devil May Cry 1, which I will admit I didn't actually finish, and I have never played 2 or 3. I definitely plan to get the special edition trilogy that's on the Xbox One. Obviously, DMC came out, the reboot title of Devil May Cry. I thought the combat was great. I hated Dante and the story, so it did not satisfy my need for a new Devil May Cry, and that's all I'm going to say about that right now. We're going to get into that later.
Okay.
Moving on to you, Carl. Tell us
it's-
your history of Devil May Cry, sir.
Okay, so let's go back to around the early 2000s when I was
A young boy.
I had picked up the PlayStation 2 for Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy X when I went to our friend Johnny Edelson's house. He our good friend Johnny Edelson demoed this game for me called Devil May Cry, and he said it was the fucking coolest thing ever. It was. It blew my mind as to what a game could be. I was looking for games that had a lot of the Matrix type shooting and anime type fighting. This was after 2 had come out, I believe. He was still showing me 1. It was fantastic. Dante was so cool. I thought the guns looked awesome because I was really into Hellsing at the time, and those guns were the closest thing to the guns that Alucard has in Hellsing. So I think I went to GameStop that very same day and bought a copy.
Was the store clerk as cool as my store clerk?
Carl, yeah, weren't you 17 by then?
No, man. I was like 15, 16 when I played this game. Maybe 14. I don't fucking remember.
Wait, did you say 2008 was when you did this?
All right, just to correct, this was around 2003, 2004.
Okay.
So this was like freshman year, sophomore year of college. Not college.
And I was only 15 years old.
Smartest 15-year-old.
So all right. Just freshman, sophomore year of high school. And yes. So I'd gone to GameStop after playing the game at Johnny's house. Andy brought up that you had to have an ID or you'd be 18. This was during to buy an M-rated game. This was during the point where they weren't sure whether that was a law or not. John, if you remember that era.
A little bit.
So after playing Devil May Cry 1, I didn't finish Devil May Cry 1, but I put the game down and moved on to Metal Gear Solid, and I played the shit out of that game. I'll tell you that. I played so much Metal Gear Solid.
Did you play Devil May Cry before you played Metal Gear Solid?
I did.
I did not know that.
I played Devil May Cry way before I played Metal Gear Solid because Jose Ayala got me into Metal Gear Solid. Our dear late friend Jose got me into Metal Gear Solid. I had played Metal Gear Solid once at a friend's house at a sleepover, and I was like, this game is so intense and so difficult. I'm never gonna play it ever again. And then after I met Jose, and Jose's like, hey Carl, you have you ever played Metal Gear Solid? I'm like, oh, what's that? Oh man, it's like the best game ever. And I went out and bought 2. And I played 2 and I loved it. And then I went out and bought Twin Snakes, and that was awesome. And I played the original, and that was awesome. And then when Subsistence came out, I played Subsistence. But we could do a whole podcast on Metal Gear Solid. I'd love to do a podcast about Metal Gear Solid. But this is Devil May Cry. This is Devil May Cry, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
So I never played Devil May Cry 2. But 3, I did play 3, and how I got introduced to 3 was different. I had a friend named Adam Dow, and he used to come over to my house after school, and this was like junior year of college. I keep saying college. Junior year of high school. This was junior year of high school, and Adam Dow gave it to me, and mostly he gave it to me just so he could play it at my house because he didn't have a PlayStation 2, and I loved DMC3 Special Edition. It was everything that I kind of wanted in an action game, because I was getting kind of tired of Metal Gear Solid because it was of all the sneaking.
Whoa.
Well, this was a dark time.
I want blood and action. I don't want strategy and stealth.
I was never put down by the difficulty. I always felt like this was a game that you had to respect and sort of just get good at in order to survive, in order to be considered not only to survive the game, but to be considered a gamer.
Right.
Okay.
After that, I never played 4. I played like the first chapter of DMC Reboot back when I had my store. Yeah, because I ran a video game store for 2.5 years. I played that on some downtime, and that was cool. And the most recent one I played was the demo. So yeah, that's my history of DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've all shared what the game means to us, and we've taken our sweet time doing so. So let's talk about Devil May Cry 5, the demo. Andy, go ahead.
Oh boy, so I was really looking forward to playing the demo.
Oh yeah?
we finally get a chance to play the demo, and it's everything I wanted. But I was like, where are the jump cancels? And then I forgot, oh, you had to buy enemy step. I hope you have enemy step in this game. And you do get enemy step in the new demo. So you're able to jump cancel in between all of your attacks. And when you can jump cancel between your Devil Breaker arms, it's satisfying. Overture jump canceling on Goliath, or Gerbera jump canceling in between enemies whenever you attack them. That's also really fun because you're basically just boost attacking them infinitely while your style meter goes up. And you can air taunt in between your. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't air taunt between attacks because I was implying that you're canceling. But you can air taunt to build enough air time so you can avoid enemies, and this is extremely useful during the boss fights.
So Andy, what about the demo excited you the most?
That I got to try the game, and I want more of it.
You want more?
I also want to play as Dante because you get to use his toolkit against enemies that are designed for him, since DMC4 only had 2 enemies designed for Dante.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Andy. Woo! Woohoo! All right, John, tell me what you thought of the trailer. The trailer and, excuse me, I keep saying the trailer. The demo. What do you think of the demo?
All right. So I do admit I only played the original demo that came out originally just for the Xbox One for a short period of time. I did not play the newer release demo specifically so I could have as much game and surprise as possible when it comes out.
Wait, there are 2 demos?
Yes.
I believe so, unless the second one was the same one they released on Xbox One, but for all platforms.
There are 2 demos.
I'm only aware of the second one, probably.
Yeah, so there's the Xbone exclusive demo, and there's the second demo, which actually gave you more stuff to do. Same level, but they give you more items. You can actually customize your loadouts. You can actually buy different moves. Some of the moves that were available in the Xbox demo, you actually had to buy later, but they also gave you more tools like the enemy step. That's the one where you could jump cancel. That's the one that really made the demo because you can actually utilize your tools better.
Okay, it sounds like the one I played. Okay.
Yeah,
all right, so John, go on.
Anyway, so you play as Nero, and again, the most Devil May Cry experience I have is from 4, and so since Nero's the star of that, it was pretty nice. It was like putting on an old shoe. It still fit, and I got right back into it, and everything that I liked about 4 was still there in terms of his devil arm and his sword combat. Of course, I couldn't help but notice the greatly improved graphics using the new engine that Capcom have been using. But one thing that I got to experience in this demo that I felt all the other Devil May Cry games were lacking. Argue with me if you disagree with me, or post a comment about it.
Will do. I'll argue with you.
But there was much more blood when you attack enemies in Devil May Cry 5's demo. I found it actually kind of weird. There are other reasons why Devil May Cry 4 was rated M, but honestly, most of the enemies you attack do not elicit any kind of amount of blood. It was all other kinds of things coming out of it, but there was never just a clear red glisten that is so satisfying to see in some games. Mm-hmm. It was really nice and satisfying to play this and be like, finally, there's a gory Devil May Cry for me. My God, I gotta say, I thought the demon designs were just spot on. I thought they were just fantastic. They had a really great sense of just darkness and monstrous figures to them. I did find some characters in 4 were a little more goofy than it
Oh,
was
yeah,
like
scarecrows.
scary. Yeah. So 5 felt like everything you're fighting is just out to fucking kill you, but you are still this upbeat, charismatic, and fun dude who's just kind of playing with everything. And I got kind of an almost like Evil Dead kind of vibe. You're fighting seriously scary shit, but you yourself are almost kind of a bit of a clown who knows how to kick their ass.
Oh yeah, that's
So
a good way of putting it. That's a good way of putting it.
Demo alone made me think this is the Devil May Cry that I have always wanted Devil May Cry to be.
All right, so I guess it's my turn. All right, so I'm gonna say right now, I played the trailer. I played the trailer. All right,
You played the trailer back in sophomore when you were in college.
Yes. Fuck you.
That's what I did with DMC5. I would just play that trailer over and over. DMC3, excuse me.
Okay,
Make
so
sure you guys are drinking your beers.
yes, make sure you're drinking your beers. I definitely am.
Oh, good.
I'm gonna disclaim this right now. I played the demo probably like maybe 2-3 times.
Yeah.
This being years after I played Devil May Cry game. The graphics are insane.
Yeah.
It's amazing what they can what they can do now. You know, character models and detail. I mean, everyone looks like a real person. It's wild.
Because they use real models.
Yeah. I know. They use real Instagram models. It was amazing. I looked them all up. So the first time I played the demo, I was like, this feels a little clunky. This feels a little heavy. Doesn't feel as fast as I remember 3 being. But you know, I still thought it was amazing. I got killed by the amazing, the boss at the end. And I kind of put the game down, and you know, went back to editing Sandwich Revolver on. And you know, a couple of days, maybe like yesterday or the day before, it's like I'm gonna have to play this game again, this demo again, before we do this podcast, just to not look like an idiot. So I played it 2 more times, and still didn't beat the boss, the demon, at the end. But I got a lot of fun out of the combat. I really dug, jumping into the air and grabbing the Reapers and just hitting them over and over and over and over and again to get that score up. Grab another one, doing the same. And I just love the environmental damage that happens in Devil May Cry. Environmental damage, I feel like, is a lost art.
Yes.
Games. And I just love the idea that you're in this area and you're just completely tearing it up, fighting these bad guys.
Yeah, you tear that boutique shop and all the little mannequins hanging there.
Oh yeah,
and then the glass, and then you see the physics.
Bar. Oh, it's great. It's great. And going back to what you said, John, about how Devil May Cry is this guy who it's a game where you have these kind of like upbeat, powerful characters that are like wisecracking, making jokes in the face of these horrifying, deadly monsters. I really got the sense that it's like, oh, these things are here to kill, and the world is being destroyed, people are getting murdered. But here comes this like kind of like pretty boy with a giant sword and a huge gun, making jokes about the Grim Reaper.
Yep.
So it's something charming about that. There's something really charming.
Oh, absolutely.
That and the music that feels like it's from 2005. It's just great.
Sounds like party rave music.
Exactly. It almost sounds like speed metal and new metal. I am excited for the full game. What do you guys want to see? Just really quickly, what do you want to see? Andy, go first, really quickly.
I want to see the drama between Nero and Virgil, because Nero never met his dad. So when that fateful encounter eventually comes, I hope they meet. I hope they talk. I hope Nero talks shit. It's like, where the fuck were you this whole time, Dad? And I hope they fight. And why did you rip my arm off, Dad? What the fuck? Okay. So, I want to see that. I'm curious about V. I want to see more of Lady and Trish. I like how they're designed. Even though some people are like, oh man, I don't like how Lady's designed, but I don't care. Like, Lady looks great. I'll take it. And
she definitely looks way more human than she did in the previous game.
Yeah, something about that jawline just kind of looks a little jarring, but like I like how they designed her. I like that smile. So I'd like to see more of the regular cast, and we didn't get to see them very much in DMC4. So I'd like to see where they take the characters in the story. We know the game's going to be great. How are they going to wrap up the Sons of Sparta story, like the PR reports were saying? So
Okay.
I'm really curious about that.
Cool. All right. Thank you, Andy. John, what do you want out of 5?
What I want from 5 is Doom, but as a hack and slash game.
Okay.
And I feel like I'll probably get my wish.
I want something that I can really get into and like learn how to be a combo guy. It's like learn how to have a lot of fun with a video game.
There's a training mode.
Oh yeah. Oh good. I just want something that's fun, entertaining, and isn't like terrible when it comes to story department. So I haven't seen anything that would make me feel like it's gonna be terrible, but I've been burned before.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So moving on the next on our agenda is Andy, your time to shine, man.
Oh dear.
Let's talk about the history of Devil May Cry. Oh, hold on a second. I moved away from the microphone. All right. So now let's talk about the history of Devil May Cry as a series, as what led to the first game, and where has it gone since then. Andy, you're our expert on all things video game related and anime related, and obscure movie related. So
on all things video game related?
Nah, no, I don't know.
You guys are giving me too much credit.
I'm pumping you up.
Oh boy.
Not all things video game related, but Andy is our expert on the obscure. How about that? Will you take that title?
Obscura. I'll take Andy Obscura, sure.
And Andy Obscura. And before we get into this, we're going to take a small little break now. Before we get into the history of Devil May Cry. So our next segment is going to be the history of Devil May Cry. Starting from its humble roots as a Resident Evil game, morphing into a Devil May Cry, and then leading to other games, per se. Our guest today and staple of Sandwich Revolver podcast and cameraman for Sandwich Revolver YouTube show, Andy Na, is going to, very animatedly and energetically talk about the Devil May Cry history. So, Andy, with your best entertainment man impersonation, go ahead and tell me about a Devil May Cry and how it came to be.
Okay, so the year was 2001, and Hideki Kamiya, the director of Resident Evil 2, was tasked to make a Resident Evil 4. It was originally going to star a guy named Tony Redgrave, who looked like Dante in every sense of the word, sans the name Dante, and he was supposed to be Spencer's son. Originally, Kamiya wanted Leon to be this character, but as Resi 2 came and went, he saved his ideas for another game, and this character would eventually become Dante. There's even concept art of Tony Redgrave, one of which has him walking through a gothic corridor, red clothes, white hair, holding a submachine gun, and it looks like a corridor you would see in the actual game. So as he was making this game, Shinji Mikami convinced the whole team and Kamiya to make another game, and so it got rebranded into Devil May Cry. And this is a game that this was something that worked in Kamiya's favor because the guy never liked horror games anyway. He didn't like horror movies. Mikami gave him a bunch of movies to watch, and he was really depressed about it. So he got to make the game that he wanted. So as you're playing,
I'm just imagining.
It's on his Twitter. He's like, "Oh, these movies made me depressed."
horror is not really in Kamiya's forte. The guy likes superpowered people. He likes the Akai Ranger of like Tokusatsu. He likes kaiju, which is why you always see dinosaurs in his games, and people who are like really, really strong and faces other people that are bigger than him. So Devil May Cry, you get to see some of Resident Evil's DNA because it was going to be Resident Evil 4, but it was more colorful, it was more energetic, the tank controls are gone. Yes, so you had a game that looked like Resident Evil but played very, very differently. It had like a very extensive toolkit where you can juggle enemies, you can launch them up in the air and then juggle them. You can even jump in the air and shoot them and then hit them with your sword while they're still in midair, and you can taunt them, and you had all these different weapons. And at a time when 3D action games were still trying to find themselves, Devil May Cry sort of created that trend where you have fixed cameras, a guy running around in the three-dimensional controls. He can do combos while the camera didn't change when you were doing Z targeting or C targeting, L targeting, or whatever. It introduced a lot of new things for action games where you can actually, go around and beat up people. So it's almost like you were playing a 3D Streets of Rage or Final Fight if Final Fight had an actual game that was true to its roots without trying to look like Grand Theft Auto.
This makes me actually think back to when I was talking about my excitement to God of War. Because, again, I guess looking back, I could be wrong, but as far as I know, I think Devil May Cry kind of started that. You know how Resident Evil 4 started the over-the-shoulder third person, and it sort of like defined how all third-person shooters would be going forward?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I almost feel like Devil May Cry is kind of like that for basically hack and slash games, because I think God of War is kind of like the next step after Devil May Cry.
Now, don't quote me, John, but I think as far as
I will fucking quote you. I'll quote everything you say.
I've already written it down.
I think, yeah. So, John, you were talking about Resi 4. I think as far as like over-the-shoulder, like third-person shooter games go, I think the American release of Blue Stinger tried to do that. Blue Stinger is this sort of like horror survival beat 'em up hybrid on the Sega Dreamcast.
But it had a ridiculous story, though.
No, it did not popularize it.
I mean, regardless, because oftentimes whatever game is the thing that made other games do it is rarely the first to do it.
Right.
But the game gets the credit for bringing everyone's attention to the concept.
Yeah. But the way Blue Stinger did it, from what I heard, was horrible. The camera was really janky, so Mikami perfected that aesthetic and the mechanics that followed. On to Devil May Cry 2. So this was where Capcom wanted to follow up with the success of DMC1, and so as they greenlit the sequel, Hideki Kamiya was not involved in this game at all. He didn't even know the game was being made until someone asked him what the progress for the game was like, and it looked totally different.
Really?
It strayed away from the Resident Evil roots. You don't get the same kind of game over. Instead of you are dead, I think you get something like Rest in Peace. I forget, it's been a while, but you get something very different. They try to introduce new things. They gave you a dodge button that was like the trickster dodge. They even gave you a wall run. They gave you the rainstorm, where you're basically upside down shooting in midair. You got a lot of interesting new details that weren't fully realized. And as the game was in development, it had a very troubled dev cycle. Capcom had to hire Hideaki Itsuno 4 months within the end of dev cycle, and Itsuno had a lot of fighting games in his resume, so they hired someone who can punch up the combat, I imagine. So Itsuno came, did the best he could within 4 months, and the game was released. And afterwards,
Itsuno proposed a third game, and that's why we got Devil May Cry 3. On DMC2, there were a lot of ambitious things that they tried to do. They made the game 2 discs, so they have 2 different campaigns, one for Dante. They tried to make this game as ambitious as possible, despite all the weird stuff that went on in development. The game was released. There were a lot of new things introduced, including the style switching. I'm sorry, not style switching. Weapon swapping and Bloody Palace, which would come back in DMC3. And even though a lot of people bought DMC2 with the same anticipation, the anticipation that they're going to get the first game's quality, it was time for Capcom to reboot Devil May Cry to some degree. And that's why we got Devil May Cry 3.
Woo, 3!
Yeah, so 3, we all know about 3. We've praised this game over to the moon. It took everything to 11, from the combat and the cutscenes. And Itsuno wanted to make a third game because he didn't want his reputation tarnished with the second game, since he's basically taking the hit by taking the director's role, even though he only worked on the game for the last 4 months of development. Itsuno wanted to make a game where they can start from scratch, so they made an origin story about Dante's history before he became the character in DMC1. Bingo Moriyashi asked Hideki Kamiya.
Wait, his name was Bingo Moriyashi?
Yes.
That's an amazing name.
That's a bingo.
I love that name. Bingo Moriyashi. I'm just picturing him with like a bow tie and like a big smile.
Usually we just say bingo.
Good old Bingo had to ask Kamiya for if he wanted to ask permission to. Oh no, I'm sorry. So Bingo Moriyashi was going to write an alternate story where they can basically just make the story that they want with their origin story. So Kamiya just let them do what they want. Itsuno even asked Kamiya any advice on how he wanted the story to be told, and Kamiya just told him to do whatever he pleased. So having all that creative freedom, Itsuno and his team got to work. They hired Yuji Shimomura, choreographer from Versus. They were able to show these like really cool cutscenes with in-game engine graphics running at 60 frames per second. Even though full motion video is a thing, I don't think a lot of video games at this period did what Devil May Cry 3 did as far as putting as much action and as much storytelling. It's almost like you're watching Matrix Light, or if every cutscene was just the Matrix movies condensed into a 5 or 4 minute cutscene. They were really seriously considering on saving the brand. And so not only did they nail the presentation, but the gameplay was great. We talked about all the gameplay stuff earlier in the pod, but it just couldn't be stressed by how much stuff you can do in the game. All the different techniques you have, the styles, which you couldn't switch at the time until 4.
So let's jump over to 4. So tell me about 4.
Right before we jump into 4, we did get the special editions where you can Virgil.
Why am I forcing your hand?
Yeah. So you got to play as Virgil. He has a full kit, and he's just really, really fun. That's Devil May Cry 3, a fresh new start again on DMC4. So as we know that this is the first entry into the HD era, Capcom wanted to make as much money off the HD craze. So not only did they choose to make DMC4 multi-plat, hoping that they can get that Halo or a Call of Duty or Gears of War audience, they wanted to introduce a new protagonist so that they can attract new players. And John, this is your first game in the DMC series, so you are the statistic that Capcom wanted.
This is true.
Yeah, so
their
it's not
plan worked on you, and you fell for it like I don't know.
Like a damn fiddle.
I fell for it like a fiddle.
Not implying that that you bought the game because it was a sparkling new product with a new character that wasn't Dante. You just wanted to play an action game, so you got.
Also, the idea that maybe Xbox 360 players have never had a PlayStation console before, and so Well, we could do a recap of Dante's entire storyline, or just introduce a brand new character so that these new players are along with the ride with him, since it's his first game. And then for older fans, there's also Dante.
Yeah, so it wasn't an MGS2 situation, because it's not like Hideaki Itsuno was trying to make you reevaluate your life as a gamer. He's not trying to make you decide your future. As we got DMC4, rumors has it that the game's development cycle was cut in half because they wanted to rush the release. And so when you get to a certain point of the game, when you start playing as Dante, basically play the same game in reverse. Dante only has 2 enemies designed for him. 2 enemies, meaning that enemies that were big enough where your attacks and your tools can be utilized at their fullest potential. I know they sound like platitudes because I'm basically just mentioning general mechanic stuff, but some enemies are really small, and whenever you hit them, like with a launcher, normally they're supposed to go up. They don't go up as Dante. They have these different these different effects where normally if you expect a move that's coming from below hitting upwards, they should be launching, but they're not launching.
Oh wow!
They're just different enemies.
Is that because Dante doesn't have the devil arm to like grab them in midair like Nero does?
Yeah, so they were meant, even from the way they animate, they always jump away from you. Like the lizard guys, who are kind of like the hunters from DMC1, they run away a lot because you're supposed to snatch them with the Devil Bringer, with Nero. And I think we mentioned this before, they're like these big cloaked Grim Reaper looking things that are actually these little bugs inside. You're supposed to keep snatching them until you pull the bug out. When you're playing as Dante, you just have to shoot and hit. You can still shoot and hit them with Nero, but the correct way is to use the Devil Bringer to weaken them.
Oh wow!
Bosses are fun. They give you these really, really cool items. Devil Arms is basically just Beowulf or Ifrit. That's the fisticuff attacks. Yeah. And they are also really, really fun to use. So that's one of the redeeming qualities in Dante's missions. They give you new weapons while feeling a little familiar to the older games. And some games are just bonkers. Like you get a suitcase, Pandora, which turns into a bunch of guns and missiles. John, do you remember this?
Oh, of course. Man, you're bringing back some pleasant memories.
So, these games sound like they were pretty popular, pretty influential. What did they did anything come off of them?
Like
so
after
point,
4.
Oh, after 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so this game didn't make the numbers that Capcom wanted. They wanted the tens and millions, even though this game sold 4 or 5 million copies total. If you add the PC 360 and the PS3 sales altogether,
okay.
So
that seems kind of low.
They definitely made a lot of money. They just didn't make the money that they wanted. At the time, when Keiji Inafune was in charge of research and development for Capcom games, he wanted to outsource a lot of lesser priority Capcom games. So while Capcom worked on the Resident Evils, while they worked on their Street Fighter 4 iterations, and even their Monster Hunter game, they were looking at the West to... they were looking at smaller Western developers as an answer to create output with minimal effort on Capcom's part. That's why you got your Bionic Commandos. That's why Lost Planet 3 had a different developer. That's why you had your DMC by Ninja Theory. Kamiya, meanwhile, on Hideki Kamiya's side, he was working for Clover. He made some games for Clover, which were also published by Capcom. You know, like the Beautiful Joes and the Okami games. As Clover went out of business, a few years later, some of the guys at Clover, like Atsushi Inaba and Hideki Kamiya and a few other people. I think Shinji Mikami was also in charge. I don't know. But they made games.
That's quite a motorcycle.
Yeah, I know. It's really loud out there.
So a bunch of guys from Clover got together. They rebranded their group as Platinum, and Hideki Kamiya was making Bayonetta. I think development started in like 2008 or 2007. I don't know, but that's when Sega acquired the license for Bayonetta, and they got to work. So Kamiya took the Devil May Cry 1 development staff to help him work on Bayonetta, while Hideaki Itsuno was working on the next Devil May Cry. And Bayonetta was a completely different game, even though its Devil May Cry roots shows. It even has the same cutscene director for the Devil May Cry games, Yuji Shimomura. He worked on the Bayonetta games. Very cute little references that Kamiya likes to make in his games. There are items that reference Dark Knight Sparta and Eva. Even some of the characters reference other characters from old Capcom games. And
oh wow.
It was that new action game experience from, like, so while you're getting your Devil May Cry fix, there was like another kind of action game that Hideki Kamiya was making, and since he had that Devil May Cry legacy, he can use that to his advantage by pushing his product, letting people who just finished Devil May Cry 4 get into Bayonetta. And it's a nice little thing. It's where you can keep having action games, and you can keep yourself satisfied.
I mean, I would personally say Bayonetta, more than any other game, like hands down, seems to be the ultimate successor. But instead of fighting demons, it's like they flipped it, and angels. You're fighting angels instead.
All right, so that was Devil May Cry and Beyond. So
yes.
We took you through a Resident Evil game that never was into a new game that was fantastic, then failed on its sequel, and then became an explosion superstar second sequel, and has been kicking ass ever since. Let's answer that question. That's been on our tongues since we started this podcast. I mean, started this episode. The state of Konami. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. Konami's terrible. Excuse me. The state of Capcom. Excuse my little slip there.
Oh, wait a minute. We didn't get into DMC.
Oh, fuck, Andy. Go ahead.
So, as I was saying about Capcom trying to...
Keep it short. Keep it short.
Yeah, I'll keep this very short.
Okay.
There's a whole lot that can be said.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're just gonna get into... We're going to get into the nutshell. So Capcom wanted to expand their IPs to Western developers so that they don't get to put in as much work, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Devil May Cry was one of those franchises that Capcom wanted to outsource to another developer. So they gave it to Ninja Theory. And Ninja Theory initially had more designs to Dante before they gave us the meth head looking one that we got in 2010.
He's a cool guy.
Yeah, I know. That was their idea of cool for edgy 13-year-olds or something. That's from Tamim's mouth. Tamim Antonatis wanted to sell it to the 13-year-old edgy kids.
God.
So
Edgelords.
So we got Edgelord Dante because Capcom wanted a more different looking Dante than the designs that Ninja Theory had offered.
All right.
So that came and went, and when
that was more Capcom than Ninja Theory.
Well, Ninja Theory or Tamim Antonatis, Super Ninja Tam, that's his forum name. He had some involvement in this as well. He had to sell the product after Ninja Theory was doing what Capcom wanted them to do in making a radically different character. That he responded to all the backlash, albeit very poorly. Every time he responded to them, he just started adding more fuel to the fire. Oh man, Dante's not a cool looking character anymore. He would have looked cool 10 years ago, but he looks like a gay cowboy that would get laughed at a bunch of people at bar in Tokyo. I don't know the exact quote,
Oh
but he says
man,
something along those lines.
you're bringing up dead memories in my head. I remember all this shit. I remember the weird shit he sent out.
We talked about this at one point, Carl, and I remember being really upset at this.
You were really upset. I remember. But it's one. It just sounds like to me that Ninja Theory was doing their job and Capcom was just all over the place with it.
Oh boy, and it gets even worse because a lot of the journalists would defend Ninja Theory for all the shit that they were doing.
God.
It's obviously because, there's not only a disconnect between the fan base and the journalists, but there's also an assumption that if you're critical, you were just a big crybaby, you were just mad because Dante didn't have white hair.
I remember those days.
So the Flame Wars went on and on. Whenever people talked about this game, whenever a journalist talked about this game, whenever news came up about this game, it was just shitstorm 24/7.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah, it totally was if you were following this game. So this game finally came out in 2013, and for all the sales anticipation, that Capcom had, it didn't do as well as DMC4, and for all the right reasons. The game ran at 30 frames instead of 60 frames. Hideaki Itsuno kept trying to hype the game up because he was the supervising director. He says he wanted to give a 30 FPS game the feel of a 60 FPS game, and in some places he was successful. That's because there was a large combo window. There's a lot of crazy stuff you can do, but for the people who got their hands on it, it was a little janky. The bosses were a little too easy. There were moves that you do that could essentially break the balance of the game, so it was not perfect. And Ninja Theory and Capcom had to release a definitive edition for the next-gen consoles, which ran at 60 FPS, had a lock-on button. Lock-on was not a thing in the vanilla release.
What? That's insane.
Yeah, so stuff you had in the previous games were gone.
That's frustrating.
In favor of trying to streamline the game, which
I'm glad I never played the actual original vanilla version. Glad I played the definitive version. Didn't it come out for the PS3 as well?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, because I remember playing it
at the very least. You had a lock-up button.
Well, you had like 60 frames per second, I think, on the PS3.
Yeah, 60 FPS, and you had new costumes to make Dante look like actual Dante. What else was there? Oh, they rebalanced the game. You originally fought color-coded enemies, so blue weapons can only hurt blue enemies, red weapons can only hurt red enemies.
That's lame.
Definitive edition, your blue weapons can hurt red enemies, but red weapons still do the most damage, and vice versa.
That's a better system.
Problem is,
it's way better.
Releasing a better upgraded version doesn't fix the damage of the original.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah, and at this period in time, what's that game? Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance came out. This was in 2013.
Okay.
A more superior action game that ran at 60 FPS, was faster, was a little bit more true to the continuity, or rather the legacy of its respective franchise. Even though if you actually play the story, Carl, you can actually see where the story differs or even contradicts with the original themes of the game.
I'm excited. I'm excited to play Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, but it's still a really good and fun game. Carl, finish it. It's really fun.
I'll finish it. I really dug the first chapter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's one more thing to say about DMC. Do you have anything to say about the one more thing to say about the reboot?
A year later, DMC4 got a special edition, just like DMC.
Okay.
And after that game released, we didn't see or hear anything about Devil May Cry except for rumors until, Hideaki Itsuno or Capcom decided to slowly sprinkle in hints that a DMC 5 was coming.
Oh, wow.
That's where we are.
That's where we are. Okay. So let us move on to
The state of
that
Capcom.
actually brings us, to that's a great transition right there, because it's like, that's where we are. It took how many years? 9 years?
11.
11 years to get a new Devil May Cry 5. So what the heck is going on with Capcom in the state of Catcom? Yeah, Catcom.
Capcom.
Capcom. Meow. The state of Capcom segment. Andy, go ahead. State of Capcom.
Well, state of Capcom.
State of
They're
Capcom in like, you have like 5 sentences.
Yeah, so they're definitely doing a lot better now than they did 10 years ago. They're definitely reevaluating their games, trying new things like Resi 7. That's one example. When it comes to their action titles, they seem to be doing a little bit better. I know I'm repeating myself. It's because we've gotten so many years of Street Fighter, and we've got a subpar Marvel vs. Capcom release.
Game people forgotten about. Was it Infinite or whatever it's called?
Yeah, it was Infinite.
Yeah, that game
it's not like
came out.
Infinite was a bad game either.
No, it's just
the roster was bad.
I just didn't. I mean, I don't really, think of it as a game. I forgot it existed until you just brought it up right now.
Yeah. So Marvel Infinite just came and went on a wet fart. What else was there? A lot of Monster Hunter re-releases. Like, we didn't get a new Monster Hunter game until, or a new looking Monster Hunter game until Monster Hunter World. Granted, we got our Monster Hunter 4 on 3DS, which is really cool, and I really dig Monster Hunter 4. Except after Monster Hunter 4, we just got Monster Hunter 4 EX, to put it simply. It had a different name, but it was just the Monster Hunter 4 aesthetic, but with more focus on the combat. We saw console ports for Monster Hunter 4, and while we're still getting our Monster Hunter 4 ports, like the one on the Switch, we didn't get to see a true successor to the Monster Hunter 3-4 aesthetic until now with Monster Hunter World.
John, what do you think of the state of Capcom?
Boy, howdy. It almost feels like the way Capcom is now is kind of the way I like to imagine Capcom is. It just hasn't always been the case. But in terms of, my God, I think the best way to put it is, oftentimes, Capcom included, a lot of developers spring back from a bad release. It often makes them reevaluate things to really get things right. And in this case, I'd say RE7, super amazing, back to its roots, surprise hit of like the decade.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a result of the failures of Resident Evil 6. And on that same note, I'd say Devil May Cry 5 looks like the fucking culmination of everything good about Devil May Cry as a series, but is still a result of the failings of DMC. So I would love to give Capcom credit for their amazing marketing for basically their last 3 big AAA games, in my opinion, for RE7, Resident Evil 2, and Devil May Cry 5. Because all 3 of those games, their first reveal trailer, they start off as something that you don't realize is going to be what it is.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's definitely there's a huge
Carl,
surprise.
Carl, I would like you to explain what it was like when you saw the first trailer for RE7 and then even possibly RE2.
I'm trying to remember what the trailer for RE7 was. I remember what the one for RE2 was. And that was a big twist.
All right,
RE7 talk was about the one with the cabin.
It looked like PT. It looked like PT because this was right after Silent Hills was canceled. So everything was like, what the fuck is this? No one thought it was Resident Evil 7 until it got to the fucking title. And everyone's like, how is that a Resident Evil title?
Oh, yeah. No, just it didn't seem at all like Resident Evil. Like, this is like, what the heck is this? This seems like they're doing PT. I do remember the Resident Evil 2 remake trailer being first person, and then at the very end it switches to third person, and when you see Leon in a reflection.
Well, also because you're a fucking mouse. You're a fucking rat.
You are a fucking mouse. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, no, their marketing is great, and I definitely feel like they found a way out of the rut they were in for the last 11 years.
Oh God, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm really glad because I remember standing in GameStop in 2013, and people would just tell me, "What is wrong with Capcom? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why aren't they making this? I don't understand it."
Oh,
and then
man.
when I opened my
ask
store,
the GameSpot employee.
and then well, yeah, that's just the struggle of the video game store employee. Because when I had my store, my own personal store from 2014 to 2017, we had the same people saying Capcom doesn't know what the fuck they're doing. They'd come in for like an hour and talk about Capcom. So
I could have been one of those people.
You're a friend.
They had a back-to-back release of RE6 in 12, and then DMC in 13.
Yeah, no. Think about the way they handled RE6, like with the sequel to Resident Evil 5, which was a fantastic game. Think about what they did with 6 and what they did with Devil May Cry. What the hell are they doing with their IPs? Which, it's a valid point.
Yeah, but now they're both reversed, because look at RE2, and then 2 months later DMC 5. Hopefully the game's not out yet, but trailers and demos suggest it's going to be great.
It's not going to be crap. Yeah, they've definitely turned themselves around, which I do like. Now that we've established that we like the direction they're going in, what do we want to see from them in the future? I'm going to start out with this one.
Yes, please take the reins, Carl.
Yes.
I'd like to hear some more from you.
I would like to see more of what we're seeing with Resident Evil. I would love to see a Dino Crisis remake. I would love Dino Crisis.
That's whipped cream.
In the vein of what we're seeing with Resident Evil 2 remake. I would even like Dino Crisis in first person.
Holy shit!
RE7.
Holy fucking shit!
I think that would be fantastic. I would love to see a reboot of Dead Rising. I feel like that was a great series that kind of got driven into the ground.
It would have to take a vastly different direction, because they did the same game 4 times.
And I feel like that's not going to happen, because Days Gone is coming out.
Yeah. But so many zombie games. So
just to focus on Dino Crisis, if we get one thing out of the next 5 years from Capcom, it would be a Dino Crisis remake. I am happy that they're considering doing an RE3 remake, which, RE3 was always the Resident Evil that appealed to me most as a story.
Really?
Well, yeah, I thought it was cool. I didn't know that. Jill was cool. Yeah, that's a solid RE3 and then Dino Crisis is really what I want out of Capcom. I would love to see Marvel vs. X-Men, just on the Nintendo Switch. I would love to play that game, the arcade version.
Yeah.
So, John, what do you want to see from Capcom?
So I guess I'd say, similar to you, fucking Dino Crisis. I don't care if it's a brand new game or a remake or fucking both. Just that franchise needs to be revived now. Mm-hmm. I'm excited for eventual Resident Evil 8, but pretty certain because of 7.
About that.
There's no doubt that that's coming, though. I have no worries about that. Doesn't make me cry.
Yeah, and I hope that 8 continues on as 7 did in first person.
No, I think. It seems to be the case. The first 3 are fixed camera, then the next 3 are all over the shoulder. So it'll likely be another system of 3s of being first person.
Yep, hopefully.
But fuck, if I would pick one golden thing in light of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I would like a proper Marvel vs. Capcom 4 and fucking using the RE engine in a fighting game.
That'd be interesting.
gosh.
Like, damn, that engine has got them set for like even next generation.
It's a beautiful engine. It's great.
Yeah.
Anyway, Andy, what do you want to see out of Capcom in like the next 5 years?
Okay, so I want to see an Onimusha.
Ooh.
An Onimusha
Ooh.
sequel, or even an Onimusha remake using the
Okay.
RE engine. 3D scan Takeshi Kaneshiro,
And
his
Jean
face, and Jean Reno for sure.
Yeah.
Just have a sequel of Onimusha 3 with those two characters coming back with the actual actors, and have Jean Reno speak English this time, besides just French, and replacing his voice to a different actor. So I would like to see
Jean Reno's got such a great English voice.
Yeah, he sounds wonderful in his movies. So, like Leon,
Leon. Oh.
or maybe just have Jean Reno as a Leon character this time in Onimusha World. I don't know, like a Frenchman who goes to Japan.
Oh, like Wasabi?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, look, that's Jean Reno playing a hitman who goes to Japan to find his long lost daughter.
Yeah, just have that character in an Onimusha setting, and
my gosh.
Samanosuke has to team up with this French guy who looks like this other guy that came from the future. Maybe he's an ancestor.
Oh man. So Onimusha,
so
you want to see an Onimusha?
I want to see an Onimusha. I would like to see a new Rival Schools or
Okay.
Power Stone with
Rivals-
Hideaki Itsuno
Ooh.
directing them.
Ooh, Power Stone, that'd be so good. That'd be
Yeah,
so good to
because-
bring Power Stone
yeah.
back. And Rival Schools, that'd be a throwback. I don't know if they'd bring that back, but
Yeah, Itsuno wants another Rival Schools. So hopefully Capcom gets the message that we've been wanting these games for years, and even their own developers want these games. So, like, give it to us. Come on, we've been asking them for years. Capcom knows it. Just give it to us.
yeah,
It really comes off as a company that's less about how do we make money, which is how I think they've felt for a while lately, to like until the past like 3 years has been like it's a company with a fucking strong artistic vision and with great quality also seems to fucking lead to great sales, and I think they're getting that message.
Absolutely. Cool.
So, well,
All right,
Capcom is in this redemption arc. Oh, one last thought.
Yes.
Breath of Fire. Come on. Give us a Capcom RPG. We've been
Oh,
wanting Breath of Fire
yes.
for years.
but Andy, I think we can end this thought on Capcom is in redemption arc.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are always in redemption arc.
No, not when DMC came out. That wasn't.
Well-
That was always lost moment.
And all those Mega Man games, there were a lot of misses
Oh fuck!
in between their
we didn't even
hits.
talk about the all the regurgitating Mega Man collections.
Yeah, and all the other Mega Man iterations they try to make, some of which were really good and some of which we didn't really care for. And then when Mega Man Legends 3 was supposed to come out and that got axed, yeah, people threw a fit, and we still don't have a Mega Man Legends. So,
Oh well.
yeah,
What-
if Mega Man 11 was something to think about, considering that game did well, maybe Capcom should think about making Mega Man Legends again.
Where is the other M of Mega Man games?
Oh gosh, I think that would be Mega Man Battle Network 4.
Or we can get that, or just an over-the-shoulder Mega Man game that's like Gears of War.
So some former retro studio devs were supposed to make a Mega Man X reboot.
Oh,
It's online. You can look at it. It's first person.
Oh god.
Oh, I
It's
wanted to
tough
add
and edgy.
that
Oh,
this
God.
is related
That's
to
top
DMC.
edge.
One
Sharp
of
as hell.
One of the deluxe editions for DMC5 gets you the fucking Mega Man arm cannon as a shooting gun.
Yes.
Awesome.
That is fucking awesome.
Cool. All right, redemption arc for Capcom. All right, anything like final thoughts, guys, before we move on to the next segment?
We've
No.
come a long way.
Nope.
No, we've come a long way, haven't we?
Yes.
All right, so that's it, guys. That's our podcast. We have talked about Devil May Cry. We've talked about what we think of the series, what we thought of the 5 demo. The history of it, the history of the entire series, going all the way back to Resident Evil, to the ending in Bayonetta, and what we thought of the state of Capcom, and what we want out of Capcom in the future. So thank you everyone for listening to this. This is the first of many podcasts that Sandwich Revolver will be doing.
Less micros, more games.
Oh.
What's up?
What are we looking forward to that's unrelated? What upcoming games and movies are we looking forward to?
God, I'm looking forward to Death. Just kidding. I'm looking forward to Snatchers, which is an independent film. Look up the trailer. It's gonna be good. And Doom Eternal.
Oh shit, dude! Go right alongside my DMC.
Yeah, DMC 5 and Doom Eternal. Cyberpunk 2077. I'm looking forward to. Yeah, Andy, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the new Fire Emblem game coming out.
Okay.
Astral Chain.
Ooh, Astral Chain! Yeah.
Fucking Platinum Games.
Platinum Games knocking those hits out, man. The fun games, at least.
And I think that's it for now.
All right. Well,
I'm looking forward to Bayonetta 3.
Oh yeah, Bayonetta 3. I was listening to the Muscle Memories podcast, and they talked about the Bayonetta 3 trailer. I had no idea there was a Bayonetta 3 trailer.
What?
It totally
well,
is.
I mean, they don't really show much of anything.
It's just a pre-rendered thing, but
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a bunch of events to come. Oh man, Bayonetta's in trouble.
Yeah, she's just her legs fell down.
Because she was cut in half.
If I had to think of a movie I'm excited for that's relevant to Devil May Cry, it's probably the new Hellboy.
Oh, new Hellboy, yeah.
Hellboy. The setting
kind of makes me just think of a Devil May Cry.
Oh, absolutely. Well, everyone, that's the podcast for Sandwich Revolver.
Oh, you're cutting up, Carl.
I'm cutting up. You're cutting up. Well, everyone, that's our show. Thank you for listening to the Sandwich Revolver podcast. We appreciate it so much. This show means the world to us. My name is Carl Diamond.
And I'm John Reeve.
And
I'm Andy.
Yes, John and I are the hosts. Andy is our cameraman and our third co-host on the podcast. And you've been listening to our discussion of Devil May Cry as a series. We'll be putting out a couple more of these podcasts as the weeks go on. Keep checking out our YouTube page for our Sandwich Revolver YouTube show.
Tell us what you want us to talk about.
Yes, tell us what you want to hear. If you're a small brewing company, send us your beer and we'll talk about it. We got some different ideas coming up for Sandwich Revolver, the show and the podcast. So keep tuned in.
Beer.
What's up?
We'd like to try your beer and learn more about your company.
Oh yeah, if you're a small place, and if you just want to say hi, comment on one of our videos, we'll say hi. Thank you again for listening, and stay cool out there. Movies, video games, craft beer. Watch movies, play video games, and drink craft beer. We'll see you next time.
Don't get those mixed up.
Don't.
Responsibly.
Oh yes. All right. We love you all. Ta-ta.
Bye.
Bye.